Hello, everybody. Today we are talking about SIBO. So, what is SIBO? It is a term that is used a lot, especially if you have digestive health issues. Then I think it is worthwhile knowing what it is and what it may entail so that you know whether you want to do the tests or not. Informed decisions. Okay, so what is SIBO? SIBO stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. It's a condition in where there is too much bacteria in your small intestines, and this can lead to malabsorption, weight loss, nutrient deficiencies. It is something that older people struggle with more, and I'm going to go through the basics of it. Okay, so there are two basic reasons why you would be predisposed to SIBO. The first one is lowered gastric acid secretion. So gastric acid helps to suppress the growth of bacteria in the small intestine and kind of just keeps everything intact. If you have a lower gastric acid secretion, you have a higher risk for developing SIBO or, overgrowth of bacteria in the small intestine. So why would you have a lower gastric acid secretion? So as I mentioned a little bit earlier, it is something that can happen with age. So unfortunately, as we get older, we do have a higher risk for lower gastric acid secretion. The next reason can be medications that you've been using. Maybe you've been on a gastric acid blocker or a PPI or something like that for long term, especially if you're somebody that struggles with ulcers. It is something that is prescribed quite easily. And if it is something that you've been using for a long period of time, it can cause issues lower down in your digestive tract. Something else that can cause lower gastric acid secretion is after the colonization of Helicobacter pylori. So that's always something to look at, and especially even if you've had H. pylori and it is something that's been treated before, it's still a reason that you can have SIBO a little bit later. So gastric acid secretion is the first reason that you may be predisposed to SIBO. Second is aging, but it is mostly because of the gastric acid secretion. And then the next reason is motility disorders. So we need motility in the digestive tract to kind of sweep everything, get the debris out of there, and keep the type and the amount of bacteria in the entire digestive tract even. Now, when we don't have enough motility, and this can also be due to a lot of different reasons, it's as if the bacteria and the debris is not swept through. It does not get swept into the colon. It does not come out of the body, and it just sits there. It ferments, and it just becomes more and more and more. And especially the colonization in the small intestine, it just overgrows and there's more because it's never moved through into the next part of the digestive tract. A next reason that you may be predisposed to SIBO is medication use. So the first one is recurrent antibiotics. Unfortunately, antibiotics do cause, and especially if we continue to use it long term, our bacteria in the body starts to become resistant, and a medication that's actually designed to decrease bacteria in the body is actually now causing an over colonization and more growth of bacteria in the small intestine. As mentioned previously as well, gastric acid suppressants. If you are chronically on gastric acid suppressants, we need to find the underlying cause. Sometimes it is used short term, and using it short term is not an issue. It will not cause SIBO. But if it is something that you need, it's also worthwhile talking to us and explaining why you are on the gastric suppressants in the first place, because hopefully that is something that we can help you with. Most likely it is. Okay, so now in terms of testing. In the past, they've done tests by sticking a big tube down and trying to get a sample. But luckily now, because of new technology, everything can be tested with breath tests. So now what we usually do is we test either for hydrogen or methane, which leads to a wide spread of breath testing for the diagnosis of bacterial overgrowth. So how is it done? After an overnight fast, a baseline hydrogen sample is collected and then 10 grams of lactulose or about 50 to 80 grams of glucose is mixed into some water, usually about 120 to 200 mils. So this mixture is made and you drink it, and then there are breath samples collected over about 15 to 30-minute intervals for a period of about 3 to 4 hours. And then we see how your body, and actually what we are testing is how the bacteria in your small intestine is working with the glucose or the lactulose that has been administered. Now we want to know, what is the treatment? So we know what SIBO is, we know how to test it, we know what the causes may be, but how do we treat it? If we do find out that we have SIBO, what's the next step? So the treatment is threefold. So firstly, we want to correct the underlying cause. It's always important to know what the cause was. Is it because of the medication? Is it because of gastric acid secretion? Is it because there's not enough motility? Because for all of these, there's something we can do. And we need to treat that so that it's not just a band-aid and it will never be fixed. All right, so underlying cause first. We want to provide nutritional support, especially if the SIBO is causing malabsorption and nutrient deficiencies. We can give you easier to digest foods. We can give you supplements, especially for those specific nutrient deficiencies that you may have. General nutrient deficiencies that we do see in SIBO is B vitamins, especially vitamin B12, calcium, magnesium. So all of these are things that we can supplement, and of course, in terms of the food that we give, we can ensure that we give you foods that are high in these vitamins and minerals. And then thirdly, we want to treat the overgrowth. So there are options in terms of treating overgrowth, and sometimes it's not even necessary. If we can find the underlying cause and provide you with nutritional support, sometimes treating the overgrowth is not necessary, because once we've treated the underlying cause, the overgrowth starts to settle down anyway. But if we do need to treat the overgrowth, there are some options. So either we can do natural antimicrobials or we can do antibiotics. Antibiotics generally is not our first choice, but we do know that it is necessary in some cases. And if this is your situation, we will help you to monitor which type of treatment would be most necessary for you. I hope this answers most of your questions about SIBO. You have our contact details. We are at Corperform, and if you have any questions about SIBO, if you think that you may have SIBO, please reach out and we would love to talk to you. All right. Have a fantastic day further, and thank you so much for your time. Bye.